Hello, I'm Sophia A Jackson and I'm the editor and founder of Afridiziak Theatre News, and this Monday morning I'm joined by
Jessica Kaliisa. I am a director and an actress, and currently I've got a show on at Soho Theatre called Queens of Sheba that is running from the 7th of February to the 26th of February, and I'm directing that piece.
Thank you. I just thought we could start with some quick fire theatre questions.
So,
sure. Just some random questions. What's your favourite theatre?
In London, as in theatre building. Oh gosh, do you know what? It'd have to be the Young Vic. More so because of the space. I like how they transform their spaces when it comes to different shows. That's why. No offense to the other theatres.
Ew, I like that. And the best play that you've ever seen?
Whew. As it stands, I think the best play that I've ever seen is a play called Asata Taught Me at the Gate Theatre.
Yeah.
It was actually written by a friend of mine called Kulunji Savandike, and it was about Asata Shakur. And it was about a boy that goes off to Cuba to find her, and he ends up finding her. And it's just like a conversation about who she is and everything that's happened. That play was on probably about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah,
until now.
Yeah, I saw it as well. It was very brilliant.
Oh, you did? Yeah, so good, wasn't it?
Yeah. What's your proudest theatre moment to date?
Winning the Off West End Award for Queens of Sheba. It was really competitive. There were loads of people there, and loads of really, really good candidates. So I'd say that was the proudest.
And press night's coming up.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream guest for Queens of Sheba press night, dead or alive?
Beyonce.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Literally Beyonce.
Okay, so let's get into Queens of Sheba. So
Sure.
today we're here to discuss Queens of Sheba, which opens at Soho Theatre on the 7th of February. How did you get involved in the production?
So funnily enough, Queens of Sheba was the idea came from my university dissertation. So I was studying journalism in university, and we could create a documentary on anything that we wanted. So I wanted to explore the subject of misogynoir, which was a term that was told about by my best friend Jessica Hagan, who actually eventually went on to write the play. Yeah. And so I did my documentary on that. And not too long after, I saw a play written by Ryan. He's gone on to produce Queens of Sheba. And he'd written a play about 4 Black men called Timbuktu. And it was literally just a play about what it means to be a Black man living in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I went to him after and I said, women have stories too. Like the same thing happens to women, but worse, like we've got a lot to say. So he said, okay, cool, show me what you've got. So I sent him all of my research and he said, yeah, there's something here. So then from there, we did some focus groups. So we got a bunch of Black women in a room and just started having a conversation. The conversation went on so long that we had to do another one. So we ended up doing 2 focus groups. Yeah, because Black women don't really get that space to talk. And so just for us to be in a room and talk about things that we didn't even know that we could articulate for so long, mm-hmm. and everybody felt the same way, was crazy. And so from there, he went to my best friend Jessica Hagan, who was writing spoken word at the time. Yeah. And he asked her to create some spoken word pieces from it, and she did that. And that's how Queens of Sheba was born. And then eventually I jumped on as the director.
So you've got a first class honours in journalism. So
Yes, I do.
Amazing. How do you link your journalism to being a theatre director?
I guess Queens of Sheba is the biggest link. I don't really practice journalism at the moment, But what journalism does is it gives you the ability to critique and to think critically, which I think is really important in directing if you want to bring truth and authenticity to your work.
Mm-hmm. And as the director, what have you actually brought? What have you brought to the table?
Oh, the table question. What do I bring to the directing table? Truth, if I'm honest. I'm not usually someone who's scared to say what I think. And I think that does come across in my work. And also because of my background as an actress, the directing part, it was quite a smooth transition. So my biggest work is with the actors always, and how they can bring truth, so that when people come to see the show, they identify with the people that they're talking to. So I could direct a play and there could be absolutely no set, but you'd still be engaged because of who these characters are.
And you're an actor as well, so I suppose you've got both perspectives that you can offer, and probably makes it more relatable for you as well, because you know what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. I always try to be mindful of how actors are, because they're still humans, and I know that, and I think people can forget that. But they are humans, they do get tired. What they're doing is literally, sometimes it's the equivalent of running a marathon every day, not even joking. So it's just remembering like to respect them and honor their feelings, and to just make sure they're always accommodated.
And in your own words, what is Queens of Sheba about?
Without giving too much away, Queens of Sheba takes us on the journey of 4 Black women who are getting ready for a night out. And while we're following them on that journey, we see their experiences of what it's like to be Black women, and what it means to face both racism and sexism at the same time.
Okay.
I think I'm going to leave it there.
That's fair enough. So Queens of Sheba is back due to popular demand at Soho Theatre. Why do you think it's such a popular show?
I think it's such a popular show because it's so funny. It's a hard topic, and I think number one, do you know what? There's a couple of reasons why I think it's so popular. Number one, because it's funny, but number two, because it's relatable, and it's a space for Black women to come. And if you're not a Black woman, please do come, because it's still for you. And so if you're a Black woman, you'll relate. But if you're not Black, you'll also relate. And if you're not a woman, you'll also relate, because it speaks to everybody. And the way it's written, I'm not the writer, so I can't take credit. But the way it's written is phenomenal. And it's so funny, it's so palatable. So you never feel like you're being preached at. You feel like you're in this space with these Black women, and you get to learn about them. And if you are a Black woman, you feel like you're in a space with your sisters. And so I think it just reaches everybody.
And have you had to make any changes? So obviously, I think, is this the 3rd time it's run? Because I know it's twice at the Soho Theatre.
Twice at Soho, once on tour, once at Camden, once at Edinburgh.
Okay.
I think this is probably the 5th or 6th time.
So have you been tweaking it as you go along, or is it pretty much the same?
The biggest tweaks have been the cast. The other cast members had jobs. So we had our first cast, they ran it for about 2 years, I think. And then there was quite a gap until the next one. And so they had all booked jobs that clashed. So we ended up recasting, apart from one cast member, Coco, who's been there since the beginning. So she's like our veteran queen. So that's the biggest change. And it hadn't changed much until then, up until COVID. And the reason why I felt like it needed to change a little, the text didn't change. But the tone, I felt like the tone had to. And the reason why I felt like it had to is because everyone had sat down and watched George Floyd being killed. And so it was no longer saying, oh, by the way, this is what we go through. It's, you've seen what we go through. Let's all talk about it. And so it became less about do you know what I mean, teaching, and more about presenting. and I guess just essentially taking away the fact that we would be preaching to the choir, if that makes sense.
And is that why you've introduced the healing circles? I think they are, that happens post show. Is that what's happening?
Right, yeah. So the reason we've introduced those, I guess, is something that we would have always wanted to do, but we never had the time or facility. This is Queens of Sheba's longest run, besides being at Edinburgh and being on tour. So in London, this is the first time we've been at one venue for this long. And so we've just never had the opportunity. And where we do now, we want to make sure Queens of Sheba is doing something. We're not just putting it on again and again for vanity. It's so that it can help people, especially the people that it was designed for.
That sounds quite nurturing as well.
Oh, I'm glad.
So in your own words, why should we come and see Queens of Sheba? But even if it's for the first time, the second time, or third time, what would we get out of it?
Guys, it's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny to the point where when I first did it, I can't do it so much now because I've got my hands full with a kid. I watched it every day. People thought I was crazy. I would literally watch it every single day, and I'd be at the front row cracking up as if I hadn't seen it 100 times before. It's so funny. It's so relatable. You most likely haven't seen anything like it. It's very, very different. And you will, if you don't walk away feeling like if you don't walk away feeling something, I'd be surprised. Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Very powerful. And then finally, what tips would you give to anyone who wants to become a theatre director?
Okay, so I love this question, and the reason I love this question is because I fell into directing. I was so with Queens of Sheba, we couldn't find the right person, so I ended up having to step up, and so the one thing that I would always say is that you can do it. You don't actually have to spend years, do you know what I mean, training. It's always good to train. I'm still learning. I'm still putting myself in positions of learning. But the great thing about being a director is you get to create your own art. And it's not actually really about what people think. If they like it, great. If they don't, okay. But you've put your art out there. And don't sort of watch what other people are doing. If you've got a vision, if you've got a creative idea, do it and put it forward. And there's lots of space for it, especially for Black female actors. So just go for it.
Thank you.
Sorry, Black female directors.
Thank you. We've reviewed the show, but I personally haven't seen it yet. So I'm really excited to catch it this time round.
I'm so excited. Let me know when you come.
I will, I definitely will. And thank you very much for your time today. And I hope you have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you so much.